These little dragons are secretive crepuscular animals.
Wait, that's not how you say it.
How do I say it?
Man.
Crepuscular, right?
Crepuscular.
Yeah. These little secretive dragons are crepuscular. Stop, man. You're making it worse. Crepuscular. I said it right.
Wait, can you? Crepuscular.
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 These little secretive dragons are crepuscular. I can't look.
Crepuscular, man.
Crepuscular.
In this video, we're talking the most popular pet dragon in the world.
The red-eyed crocodile skink.
So the red-eyed crocodile skink is one of the most interesting species of reptiles that anybody has ever seen on the internet. Every time I post these guys on social media, they go crazy, the videos go viral, and people seem to love these guys. These guys are from an island of Papua New Guinea. Papua New Guinea is an island.
Papua New Guinea, yes.
Papua New Guinea. They're actually not the best pet lizard, but they are amazing animals and they will make a great display animal if you want to keep one in a really nice vivarium.
These little secretive dragons are crepuscular, meaning they like to be awake during the dawn and dusk times of the day. These guys are very shy creatures, which is one of the reasons why that doesn't make them the best pets. They don't really like to be handled too much. They hang out in their layers all night until it's time to eat.
So yeah, that's why these guys, when you set them up in a really nice enclosure, sometimes you barely see them because they're cave animals. They love to be in little burrows and little caves where they could feel secure. An animal like this, the last thing it wants to do is be held by a giant monkey like me, and it's gonna want to be left alone. So for that reason, if you're looking for a pet that is more social, maybe not go with a red-eyed crocodile skink. These guys are beautiful and you could, take them out from time to time. You could even train them. I have seen my friend Dion train these guys, but when it comes to like an actual pet where you want to like hang out with it all the time, this is not it. Guys, these animals are beautiful, but they're best left to be alone.
Now we're gonna go set up their enclosure. Since these guys are from the rainforest of Papua New Guinea, they're gonna like a really nice and high humidity environment with a bunch of hides. As we mentioned, they are secretive, so they do like to hide and burrow.
Okay, so now it's time to set up the red-eyed crocodile skinks in their new enclosure. And our friends at ZooMed sent us this bioactive substrate kit, so we're gonna go ahead and use it. But we're also gonna add some additional mulch because red-eyed crocodile skinks do like that humidity, so you want a good layer of substrate. That way it retains the humidity even better. So we got our dead leaf litter right here. We got our soil. Maybe we should add the mulch first. And then we'll add the soil, and then we'll add the sphagnum moss and everything. So we're gonna go ahead and spread this mulch around. And why I like the mulch is because, like I have mentioned in some of our previous videos, it is a lot cheaper to obtain. We get this from our local nursery, and that big bag is gonna cost us about $3. So we like to use mulch in a lot of our enclosures. That is the dirt, and we're gonna go ahead and mix that in with the mulch, and we're gonna give it a good spray. So. Here, hold this.
I'm the cover girl. Thanks, Eric. Now Gardner over here is gonna plant some pothos. Pothos do great in low light environments, so this is a great option for red-eyed crocodile skinks.
So we're gonna go ahead and put the pothos on both corners. They will grow into their enclosure. Trust me, we have some enclosures that are overrun with pothos. This is gonna give it a nice look. As time passes on and these plants grow, it's gonna grow in really nicely and make a really, really dope looking enclosure. So next we're gonna add the moss, and while Manny's adding the moss, I'm gonna go ahead and spray this. Just wanna make sure that, the plants are humid, that the plants are gonna get their water, and that the substrate is gonna have enough humidity. Now the good thing about this moss is that, again, it helps retain the humidity. So we'll add a bunch of this moss all across the enclosure. That's gonna give it a nice touch of color as well.
Now I'm gonna make like a little artificial swimming pool for them. We're gonna like halfway bury this, fill this up with water. The red-eyed crocodile skinks do like to get in this sometimes, and they actually look like a gator when they're in there. It's pretty cool.
So we're also gonna add another additional water bowl on this side of the enclosure. And the reason being because you know, with this screen top enclosure, especially underneath the AC right here, it's gonna dry up quick. And that's another reason why we give it a really thick layer of substrate. If you look closely, there's about 2 to 3 inches of substrate here, and that's what's gonna help this enclosure retain the humidity. And once the crocodile skinks are in their little caves in the dirt, it's gonna be like they're in a rainforest. Okay, so red-eyed crocodile skinks are typically in the $150 to $200 price range if they're imports. Now, I will caution you, if you are a new reptile keeper and you haven't worked with imports before, or you're, you know, new to reptiles in general, you might not want to get an import. You might want to spend the extra $100 to $200 on a captive bred and born animal. But beware, 99% of the red-eyed crocodile skinks that are out there, especially the adults, are going to be imports. If you see an adult crocodile skink like this with a regen tail and some missing toes, and they tell you it's a captive bred animal, beware of the buyer. Just make sure you get from somebody who's trusted. Red-eyed crocodile skinks, not too many people work with them in captivity, not too many people breed them, and the reason is because of that really low import price that they come in. If you want to get one of these, I highly suggest doing, you know, a ton of research. Don't just watch our video and think you're all set. Take a couple different people's opinions, because these are animals that you definitely want to know what you're doing and have a perfect habitat set up before you put them in there and you purchase one.
We're gonna sex red-eyed crocodile skinks. Yeah, so red-eyed crocodile skinks are really easy to sex, even from young, not from birth, but from a young age. The way you tell is you look at their toe pads. So on their back feet, the males are gonna have, you're gonna see their fingers or their toes, and the first half of their toes, the bottom half, it's gonna be really fat. It's gonna look like, they're called toe pads. They're gonna look really thick and really fat, and then as it gets towards the second half of the toe, it really slims down. The females are gonna have the same thickness throughout the entire toe.
They almost have like an extra set of transparent scales on the toes.
Yeah, toe pads. So yeah, that's how you sex these guys, and we'll show you. See how it's like fat toes, and then it goes skinny?
Yeah, that right there. Those are the toe pads. Those white like pieces of scales. So this is the male, and then this is the female. The females don't have the toe pads. So red-eyed crocodile skinks do not like it hot. These guys like a cooler temperature. You don't want to put a heat bulb on them. We keep them without the heat bulb. Sometimes we'll even use a UV, but it's not always necessary. We have kept them with UV and without UV. But if you're going to go ahead and set up this extravagant, beautiful enclosure and you're doing your research, then you might as well add your Shade Dweller UVB 5.0 or a 6% UVB bulb.
These guys are insectivores, so they're gonna like to eat a whole wide variety of different insects. We mainly feed them the crickets, mealworms, even if they get big enough, like superworms, but roaches. Variety is always key. They're gonna eat up all of those different bugs.
Now, whenever you're feeding insects with any reptile, you wanna make sure that you gut load the insects before you feed it to the reptiles. We like to gut load 6 to 12 hours before we actually feed our animals, and you wanna feed your insects, your crickets, your roaches, your mealworms, a protein and high nutrient based diet. So really dark leafy greens, there's high calcium, you know, pre-made Zoo Med and Missouri diets for the crickets that you could feed, and you gotta make sure that you always dust your insects with calcium, guys. It's super important that you feed animals the proper amount of calcium, especially when they're younger and they're growing, because crickets and mealworms and superworms have a really high phosphorus ratio to calcium, so you want to make sure that's evened out. If you feed just mealworms or crickets with no calcium, they're going to start to develop issues like metabolic bone disease, and one day they're just going to die and you're not going to know why. So make sure you add calcium every single time you feed. A lot of people ask, okay, do you use the calcium with D3 or the calcium without D3? And the answer is you use both. For the most part, with animals like this that are nocturnal or crepuscular, whatever that is, that they're not going to be active during the daytime. They're not going to take the UV rays all the time. They're not going to need to use as much D3. They're not going to synthesize and process as much D3. So we like to give these guys D3 maybe every other feeding, maybe once a week. You want to make sure that you at least give them a high quality source of calcium with their insects every single feeding. And the water bowl, of course, as you can see, it's pretty self-explanatory. Big water bowls, they like their water. All right, so now that we have water in the cage and it's all set up, we could go ahead and put these animals in here. The main thing you want to keep in mind when you're setting up red-eyed crocodile skinks is that you want a lot of visual barriers. You want a lot of places that they could hide in. That's why we have these cork rounds. We have 3 cork rounds in there, and not to mention that they could hide behind all of this, branches and cork and plants. And that's going to make them feel really secure. If they're insecure, these are the type of animals that will look fine one day and then just die because of their stress. Especially if you don't set up the right enclosure. Let's go grab the red-eyed crocodile skinks and put them in here.
All right, so much for that.
That wraps up the video. If you guys are interested in some red-eyed crocodile skinks, make sure you check them out on our website. We got them all. We also just made a video on them. I was gonna say check out the video how to care for them, but
you just watched it right now.
Yeah, you just watched it right now.
All right, guys, that wraps up this video. If you're interested in one of these guys or any other lizards, check out our website. We have a lot of animals for sale, and we love to, get you guys the gift of one of these beautiful little pieces of living nature. That was weird.
Yeah, man, just say dragons.
All right, guys, if you want a toothless of your own, make sure you check out our website. We have these guys available and a bunch of other really cool lizards, and we would love to
share them with y'all. Share them with y'all.
Anyways,
and since we love sharing so much, make sure you follow us on all of our social media platforms. We got Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. We got it all. We post individual content on every single one of them. So if you're animal lovers like us, make sure you follow.
We got threads now too.
Stay in tune. We got threads. Thanks, Mark. We got threads now. So make sure you check us out. All right, guys. Till next time.